So today we're going to talk about the rise and fall of the Chinese Empire. So we're going to look at kind of the development of their empires, their governments, their cultures, and we're going to go through a few different dynasties today, and then we're going to talk obviously about the fall of them as well. So here we go. So the Qin dynasty, they emerged in 221 BC from China's bloody civil wars. And Qin Shi Huangdi established the dynasty, and he adopted legalism. Okay, so legalism basically was really harsh. So any political opponents of the regime were to be imprisoned or executed. And so books that oppose the official views were burned. This is something that they still, into this day, do in China, where if they find things that don't go along with what the government wants, they they'll get rid of it, or they'll burn books or whatever they need to do. But the Qin made the central government much stronger. And one of the ways they did that was they divided it into three different ministries. So there was the civil ministry, okay, which dealt with the regular citizens. There was the military, which obviously dealt with the military, and then the censorate, which was kind of like a checks and balances kind of thing. So the censorate, their job was to check on the government officials to make sure that they were actually doing their jobs. And so future Chinese dynasties adopted this practice, and then as we're going to find out as we go through into the next unit, and that a lot of other places around China will adopt this as well. So the Qin unified the Chinese world by creating a monetary and road system, and they extended the empire south into modern-day Vietnam. But the harsh rule of the Qin dynasty angered a lot of the people, so eventually the dynasty fell in 206 BC. So the Qin emperor was concerned with Xiongnu. Xiongnu are the nomads who lived near the Gobi Desert. So you can see on this map, that's the Xiongnu Empire there. But they had mastered warfare from horseback, and they attacked the Chinese living in the north. But to protect these people, the Qin built a system of walls, which became known as the Great Wall of China. But the Great Wall standing today was actually built 1,500 years later, so this Great Wall that was originally built no longer exists. So the Han Dynasty is going to take over after the Qin, and the Han Dynasty was one of China's greatest dynasties, and they emerged around 202 BC, and they were founded by Liu Bang. And Liu Bang was a peasant, and he replaced legalism, so that harsh rule, with Confucianism. Now, they are going to keep the structure of the government. Okay, so the Han rulers continued to choose government officials by merit and not by birth. And one of the ways they did that was they started to institute what is known as a civil service exam. So they made schools to train candidates for government services. So what they would do is they would basically train these people to be professional bureaucrats. And so students who went to these schools learned Confucius's teachings, Chinese history, and Chinese law. So Han Wudi added land to the south to the empire as far as the South China Sea and what is North Vietnam. So you can see that represented on that map there. But the free peasants suffered during the Han period. So military service and a month's forced labor was required each year for every peasant. But the population tripled, but that shrank the size of the individual farm plot to about 1 acre per person, which really was not very much to survive on. So free farmers started to become tenant farmers. So what they did is they would sell their land to nobles, and then the nobles would have them farm that land and then pay them a portion of the crops. So this right here shows the two empires that we talked about, the Qin and Han empires. So you can see the capital is in the same spot, but instead of it being Jinyang, they named it Shangan. So technology progressed under the Han. Advances in textile manufacturing, water mills, and iron casting, which eventually led to the invention of steel, are going to happen during this time period. The invention of the rudder and the fore and aft rigging made sailing into the wind possible. So the Chinese could now sail all the way to the Indian Ocean, and so that greatly expanded trade, and also paper was developed during this time period as well. The Han rulers became really distracted by luxuries, though. So this is a common theme that we're going to see is the kind of same things that cause empires to fall is the rulers become a little too big for their britches. They get excited about all material things. They stop caring about what the people want, and so nobles or other powerful people will see kind of an opportunity in this distraction, and then they will take control, and then the peasants will revolt, and eventually, in this case, the Han Dynasty fell, and this happens in 220. And then civil wars will follow, and for the next 400 years, basically there was no dynasty in China for the next 400 years. So the culture of the Qin and Han dynasties. So the key Confucian works were printed in a set, but generations of Chinese school children learned the forms of proper behavior from these texts. And the most remarkable artistic discovery was of a burial pit that contained thousands of life-size, lifelike terracotta warriors. Okay, so this is right here shown here. They all had individual faces, and so archaeologists believe that they are replicas of Qin Huangdi's imperial guard accompanying him into the next world. And like I said, the most striking feature is the individuality of the faces. So they all have different ethnicities in the army, and this is all represented through each individual face. All right, and that's all I got for you guys today. Don't forget to do your processor. Have a good rest of your day.